Welcome, everyone, to today's Wizard World virtual experience. I'm Jerry Milani, and I've got a special treat for baseball fans today here on Wizard World Virtual Experiences. Two of the all-time baseball greats and members of the 1996 Yankees World Championship team, a team that it was an 18-year drought for Yankee fans, and these were two of the guys who helped make that go away. Whether you're watching on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, there's a chat room. Go ahead in there and let fans know when these guys come on. Let everyone know how much you enjoyed watching Wade Boggs and Dwight Gooden play baseball for the Yankees and for the Mets and for the Red Sox and whatever team you're a fan of. But go ahead and put that right in the chat. If you have any questions, we'll take the best ones. We have someone monitoring each of those chats. We'll get the best questions and try to get through the best, get as many of them as we can get in. Also, if you're interested in a live video chat or an autograph or recorded video from the stars, best place to go is just look right down, wizardworldvirtual.com. Go to wizardworldvirtual.com. You can purchase those recorded videos, purchase those autographs, and the live video chats are coming up right after at the top of the next hour, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific, depending on where you're watching. We're going to start those. Also, the Wizard World Vault, great memorabilia, great merchandise. You can purchase things there at Wizard World Vault. So first, today, he was the 1984 Rookie of the Year at age 19. If you were a baseball fan in 1984 and you were in New York, you know how this city was electrified. Even if you were a Yankee fan, you were electrified by this guy. And a year later, in 1985, it's one of the best pitching seasons in the history of the game. I don't care what era you're talking about, 24-4 with a 1.53 ERA. Are you kidding me? And then 1986, talking about World Series droughts, he helped end a Mets World Series drought in 1986. I forget what team they played, but I guess we'll find out later. And also pitched a no-hitter, of course, for the 1996 New York Yankees. Here is Dr. K, Dwight Gooden.
Hey, how you guys doing?
And there he is.
How you doing, buddy?
Doc, how you doing today? It's great to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you, too. It's good to be here.
All right. So,
Molly, Joe, Jared, the rest of the game. You too, Jared. We got fun.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So this next guest, 3,010 career hits. His career batting average is 328. That's the second best over the last 50 years of Major League Baseball. He hit 311 for the 96 Yankees. He won a Gold Glove for the 96 Yankees among 2 Gold Gloves that he won, and he's in the upper echelon. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2005. Please welcome Wade Boggs.
Hey, Jerry.
Wade, how you doing?
Good. Good afternoon.
Great
to be here.
It's really great to see both of you guys, and Yankee fans. It's an interesting combination to have you two guys here because 1996 was a big year. There were some Yankee fans who were 18 years old who had never seen a Yankees championship. They'd seen a Mets championship since then. They'd seen the Red Sox go to the World Series, but they'd never seen a Yankees championship. Guys, tell me about your memories of 1996 and bringing that championship to Yankee Stadium.
You want to go first, Doc?
Yeah, go ahead, Wade. You're the man.
Okay. Well, the big thing that I remember is after 95, we had the strike and just a bitter pill to swallow after Seattle beat us. And 96, Doc will remember this very well. We went on a 14-day road trip, went 2-12 on that road trip, and the boss wasn't happy. Mr. Steinbrenner was not happy at all when we got back to New York. And he had a meeting called batting practice off, and everybody had to sit in front of their locker and wait on Mr. Steinbrenner to come into the locker room. And you could have heard a pin drop when Mr. Steinbrenner walked in and really sort of chewed us out. And after that, I think we went on about a 24-4 run. And that's what really propelled us into the playoffs. But boy, when we came back from that long West Coast road trip, it was we didn't think that we were going to make the playoffs. But actually, we wound up picking up 2 games on Toronto because they went 0-14. So we were 2-12 and actually picked up 2 games on Toronto. But boy, I tell you, That was some kind of season. It really was.
Doc, what are some of your 96 memories?
I know for me, it actually started in the winter of '95. I was at home and I was watching as Wade initially faced Seattle in the playoffs. And much as I hate to say, because I'm a New Yorker, but I was actually rooting for Seattle to beat the Yankees because I knew the Mets were going to cut ties, and I wanted Jack McDowell's spot to come to the Yankees. So I was kind of sorry, Wade, but I was kind of rooting against you guys a little bit from a personal thing. And once I joined the Yankees in '96, as Wade said, we went on a road trip and was started off like 2-14 before the speak. Because I started off 0-3 myself. I actually got put in the bullpen, so I was part of the losing thing as well. And I remember Mr. Steinbrenner coming in and having the talk. He was straight to the point. You never had to worry about someone saying what Joy said. He would tell you himself. And after that, everybody's kind of digged in deep and did what we had to do and went out there and tucking around. And I think, like Wade said, all season took off from that point.
And Doc, you mentioned Seattle. You guys both mentioned Seattle, which was a fantastic team that had just eliminated the Yankees the year before. But, we just passed the anniversary a couple of days ago. Doc, tell me about the no-hitter. Wade, you got a couple of hits in that game, played some great third base in that one. Tell me about the no-hitter and what that meant for you after, all the years with the Mets and you're back with the Yankees and, you had one of the pitcher's ultimate dreams.
Oh, unbelievable. Because for me, it was meant to happen. You thought if it was going to happen, it would happen in the early 80s. But when it happened in '96, it was meant to be because of everything that was going on. I started off that year 0-3. I was basically bench. And what that means is when a pitcher's bench, you don't get in the game if you're up 10 or you're down 10. You're not getting in. And unfortunately, David Cohen got the aneurysm, and that's how I got back into the starting rotation. And I think it was my fourth or fifth start back in was when I had the no-hitter. But what made it so special was I was supposed to go home that day to be with my dad, who was getting ready to have open heart surgery the next day. He had been on dialysis for 15 years. And because of his health, didn't think he was going to make it. I thought he would probably want me to pitch. And so I decided to come that night and pitch. And, facing a team like Seattle, it's just ironic. Well, I was watching them the year before when the Yankees played in the playoffs. And to have it go against that team had one of the top lineups. And, had great defensive plays made behind me. And it's funny because the last pitch I made of that game was a hanging curveball, basically sitting on a tee, and Paul Sorrento popped it up to end the game. And seemed like the ball was never coming down. And once the out was made, obviously that night you don't sleep. And the next day I got to go home, get a ball to my dad. He never made it home. He was on receiving life support. But the last game he saw me pitch was a no-hitter. That's what made it that much special.
And Wade, from a fielder's perspective, I know a no-hitter it's the pitcher gets most of the credit, but the whole team makes that happen. How did you feel being on the field for a big accomplishment like that by one of your teammates?
Well, what's ironic is I've been involved in 3 no-hitters in Yankee Stadium, and with the Righetti no-hitter in '83. Actually, they just played it on MLB Network the other day. Jim Abbott's no-hitter in '94 or '93 rather, and then Doc's. So I've been involved with all 3 no-hitters, and as a fielder standpoint, you sort of start seeing the magic start happening about the 5th or 6th inning, and you're going, oh my gosh, I've got to lay out for everything and to preserve the no-hitter. And I'm telling you, once Paul Sorrento popped that ball up and it was finally caught, just the look on Doc's face was priceless. It really was. And that was a big part of the '96 season right there.
Yeah. And Doc, you mentioned that you had come back into the starting rotation. You had 3 fabulous starts right before. So this didn't come out of nowhere. This wasn't like you hadn't been pitching. You were an important pitcher on that '96 team. I think when people think of that team, they don't always remember that you won 11 games for that team.
Yes, I got an off-field slow start. I was out for an entire actually a year and a half because I missed half of the '94 season and the entire '95 season. When I got back into the rotation, before the rotation, I went to Puerto Rico for a little bit. I was the winter of '95. Then I had spring training. I did so. But it just took a amount of time to get back in rhythm. And the first 3 starts wasn't that good. And I think the time that I had off, that I was working on stuff in the bullpen with Mel Stoudemire, helped me get things going. Work on your rhythm, work on your mechanics, and all that stuff. And so when I got the opportunity to get back in the rotation, mentally I was prepared. I just said, hey, I got nothing to lose. Let me just go out here. I just found my rhythm. and got into a good thing. And you mentioned it, the start before the no-hitter against Detroit, I think I gave up a couple hits the first 2 innings, and then I had like the no-hitter for like 7 innings that game, and then rolled into the no-hitter the next start against Seattle. And then I think people might forget about that because at the end of the season, I just wore down. I just got tired. I got put on the DL, so I didn't get to play in the postseason. So maybe they forgot about that at that time.
Well, the real fans didn't forget about it. So from a Yankee fan who's wearing the 96 cap, thank you. So now you guys both played your careers and were very popular for other franchises. And then you came to the Yankees and had great success. What was the difference for each of you in playing for, Wade, in your case, the Red Sox, and Doc, in your case, for the Mets, as opposed to the Yankees? What was the big difference for you?
Well, as far as I was concerned, I was going – I was the first month of the season in '93. Every time that my name was announced in Yankee Stadium, they would boo. But I was playing for the Yankees, so they were just tuned in to Wade Boggs, and they still, I guess, thought that I was playing for the Red Sox. But it took a little while to get that Red Sox off of and let everybody know, hey, I've got pinstripes on right now. But it was a difficult decision. But when Mr. Steinbrenner, actually at the time I was dealing with Joe Malloy, Mr. Steinbrenner's son-in-law, because Mr. Steinbrenner was suspended at the time. And when they offered me a contract, I was, wow, okay. And a 3-year deal to go to New York and have the opportunity to play in 2 of the greatest baseball cities that I can imagine, Boston and New York. But when I was with Boston, New York was always in last place. And when we came over, Stick Michaels and Buck Showalter went out and got the Spike Owens and the Paul O'Neills, and then eventually in '96, Tino, after Donnie retired. But they just built that organization on like personalities, and that was the thing that turned it all around. And the 5 years that I was there, we won basically every year.
Doc, same thing for you. How is it different coming across town over the bridge to the Bronx?
I know for me, growing up in the Mets organization, you grow up like, not necessarily you hate the Yankees, but they're like, it's 2 different divisions, but you fight for the right page. And I never envisioned myself playing for the Yankees, especially in the early 80s. After 94, when I knew the Mets wanted to cut ties, always wanted to stay in New York, at least make things right with the fans. And Mr. Steinbrenner gave me an opportunity to join the Yankees. And it was a little different at first. I remember going to spring training in '96 and putting on the Yankee uniform and just going in the mirror and just standing in the mirror, just trying to get used to, like what you say, wearing the pinstripes. And I feel very honored to be with the Yankees at that time. And Mr. Steinbrenner and his family gave me an opportunity to stay in New York. And as Wade said, that team was like, they already had a team in place. I was just a part of it when I came in. They was already strong from '95 coming in. And like Wade said, you play with all these great guys. And unfortunately, Mr. Steinbrenner called a lot of heat. They say he was bringing in players. But I look at it as he was invested back into the team where other owners had the same opportunity where they was pocketing the money and George was investing back into the team. I was very fortunate to play with some great guys, playing with Wade, guys from Tampa, him, Tino, and those guys. And just a great bunch of guys. We had a great chemistry. And even Multifield, we had a lot of fun, go out to eat together. But playing the Yankees, you knew the only goal was to win the World Series, nothing else, So it was great opportunity and something I always remember.
Something else that was new in 1996 for the Yankees was Joe Torre. So talk a little, both of you, about the influence that Joe had on that team and turning it into a World Series champion that it turned out to be 4 times.
Well, Joe was a player's manager. He let the guys police themselves and really sort of stayed out of it. And that was probably the big thing that him and Zim, they were always on the same page. And you need that in a bench coach. And I think the 96 World Series was proof of that how well and that they could orchestrate things and actually going to Atlanta during the World Series when we didn't have the DH, Cecil Fielder and Charlie Hayes it was sort of Tino and I would platoon So we got to play in Yankee Stadium, and then when we went to Atlanta, Tino and I went to the bench, but that's the beauty of what kind of team that we had is you could put interchangeable pieces into a lineup that it was just one of those special teams.
Doc, have your experiences been with Mr. Torre?
I think with Joe, it's great. When I first joined the team as spring training from day one, he told me what to expect out of me. And then, like Wade said, everything starts from the top with him and Zimmer, the way they communicate with players. Because, as he mentioned, we had a lot of guys on our team, Hall of Fame guys, all-star players that didn't have egos. Everybody accepted their roles, and they could have been starting for other teams, but everybody just had one common goal, and that was to win the World Series. And that was because of Joe communicating with 25 different personalities, letting everybody understand their roles, and we all had one common goal. So I give Joe a lot of credit, and Zimmer was there as well. And like you said, he just let the players kind of patrol the clubhouse and the field. We had a lot of veteran guys. I think it was just a great chemistry all the way around.
That's awesome. We have a question from a listener. Anthony Diatoma asks each of you the favorite ballpark that you guys both played in. Doc, you played in both leagues. Wade, your National League experience would be in all those all-star games you played in. What's your favorite ballpark and why?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, really there's two. I mean, I love hitting in Fenway Park. Don't get me wrong, but the old Yankee Stadium, it was so majestic, and all the memories that I have from old Yankee Stadium it's really magical when you have a sellout crowd and you walk in and it's really, like I said, it's really magical. But probably the best place for me to hit was Fenway Park, and I got to play in some of the new stadiums that the new Safeco Field in Seattle. They did a great job with that one, but I probably have to stick with old Yankee Stadium.
Doc, where did you like to play?
For me, it was Shea Stadium. Obviously, no disrespect to Yankee Stadium, all the history, as Wade mentioned and everything, but Shea Stadium to me, that was your home mound. Love pitching there. If I had to pick one on the road, I would probably say Dodger Stadium because you've been a fly ball pitcher at nighttime with the fall coming in, the ball didn't travel that much. But pitching at Shea Stadium, I always felt like I had an advantage because, especially early in my career, where I got 2 strikes from a hitter, the fans would be standing up clapping and won the strikeout. So I knew I didn't have to make a great pitch. Just throw it close. That the umpire was going to call the strike. If he didn't, the fans were going to boo the hell out of him. And the hitters didn't want to go out swinging, so anything close, they was going to swing. So I used that to my advantage as well. So the fans played a big part of that. But I think pitching at Shea Stadium, your home mound was very comfortable there. So I have to definitely say that ballpark.
Good. Doc, real quick, there's a light coming down from above you. I don't know if you can adjust where you are just because we can't see you too well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That light is really, it's a bad, that's fine. Maybe that's a little better. Yeah, that's okay. Great. I have a question, and you guys have run into this guy, I think, both as a player and then later as when he was a Yankees coach, but Ron Guidry, Aracasa, has a question. Ron Guidry, what's Ron Guidry like interacting with him?
Oh, I love Gator. He's one of my favorites. He tells a story about Munson that on his 19 strikeout game about the second or third inning, they were really not on the same page, and Thurman went out to the mound and told Gator, "Hey, I'm not going to put down a sign. You just throw it and I'll catch it." And that was kind of strange at the time, but Gator's got some really, really terrific stories. And when we get an opportunity to go back for old timer days and listen to Gator hold court, he's one of my favorites. He really is.
And Doc, what's your interaction with Gator?
I got to know Gator. He's definitely a great guy. When I retired, I worked for the Yankees from 2001 to 2006, and we should be in spring training together with the pitchers. He always, like Wade said, had great stories, great personality, always was in a good mood. I mean, every day he was the same, no matter what was going on. And I just know him from come-arounds with that, but just a great guy. And I remember not just wanting to see him and talk to him, but I don't know if you remember Wade, but he's always in spring training, always bring this big pot of gumbo because he's from New Orleans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everybody couldn't wait to see him that first day because he had this big pot of gumbo coming in. And that's what was great. But just a tremendous guy. And I remember like in '85 watching him when we went like 25-3 and being on the other side. I was a huge fan of his as well, but just a great guy all around.
Well, another funny story about Gator is during spring training when we were down in Fort Lauderdale, Donnie and myself, when we would make a road trip, we would stay back and go on the back field, and Gator would throw batting practice to us. And if you swung the bat pretty good and got a line drive off of him or something like that, he'd throw one up and in, and he was still trying to get you out. Even when he was an instructor in spring training, I'm telling you, he could throw some serious batting practice.
That's awesome. Reminder, fans, if you are interested in the live video chats or the autographs or the recorded videos, we'll be doing those live video chats right after we get done with this top of the next hour. You have until right about then to purchase those autographs, and recorded videos also available. WizardWorldVirtual.com is the place for that, and for our upcoming schedule of all the events that we have coming up on the Wizard World virtual experiences. So whether you're watching on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube right now, make sure you get your questions in. We're picking a few out the best that we can. So Marsha Middleton has a question, and we already know what Wade's answer is to this, but I'm interested in Doc. A lot of players have routines before the games, Wade.
Oh,
what kind of routine do you have for good luck?
Well, the funny part about it is I'm the only guy in the Hall of Fame that has superstitious on his plaque. So that sort of gives you an indication on how superstitious I really was. That there were probably 75 or 80 things that I had to go through in a course of a day to get ready for a game, and one of them was the chicken. That I had chicken before every game, and hence I got the nickname from Jim Rice, Chicken Man. So yeah, I had quite a few superstitions, but just use them as sort of just mental preparation. That because once I would get to the ballpark, I would go through all the little ones that I had, but the big one was probably the chicken.
Doc, what are some of your pregame superstitions?
My main thing was just, I had this one thing that started in A-ball where in A-ball I started 0-3, and there's one particular day I was pitching. I just decided I was going to watch my car that day. I watched my car, pitched a shutout, and I figured that's the reason why I pitched a shutout watching the car. So even when I went to the big leagues, no matter what the weather was like, if it was at home, I always watched my car. On the road, I couldn't do it, but at home, that was my thing. Watch the car, and also like the gum I would chew, like the Zucker gum. Or if I get on a couple rounds early, I'll skip it out and go to something else. And I always step on the white lines on the field as well.
We have a question from 8-year-old Hunter Stashin. Hunter wants to know who your favorite teammates were. Who are some of your favorite teammates? And this can be, 96 Yankees or otherwise.
Well, I was fortunate enough to one of my good buddies was Spike Owen. I got to play with him in Boston and in New York. But Mike Stanley, Jimmy Key. It was nice to have a guy from your hometown when Doc came over, and like I said, there were three of us on '96 team from Tampa: Tino, Doc, and myself. Yep. And so that was that was neat.
Doc, who are some of your favorites?
For me, early on was like obviously Darryl, David Cohn, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Bob There's so many. Jimmy Key, as you mentioned, and then like Wade mentioned, having guys on your team that you from the same town, from Tampa, Wade and Tino, those guys, they just gave us bragging rights that we could talk smack to other guys from other cities. But just a bunch of great guys, and try to stay in contact with those guys to make sure they're doing well.
That's great. Another question we have is more specifically about the fans. We talked a little bit about the difference in the organizations that you were with before, but what's the difference between the Red Sox fan and the Yankees fan for you, Wade, and the Mets fan and the Yankees fan for you, Doc?
Well, probably the biggest thing was when I went to New York, it was probably the World Series. That was probably the biggest thing. When I left Boston in '92, the Red Sox hadn't won a World Series since 1918. So that drought sort of with we won't bring up '86, Doc, but that was sort of one of those long-lasting memories that most of us have. But that was the biggest thing is that the Yankees had won a World Series and recently, but it hadn't been in 18 years, and that's what we accomplished in '96. But having the opportunity to play in two of the baseball cities that have so much rich tradition as Boston and New York have, their fans are just so passionate, and that's probably the thing that I enjoyed the most was how passionate these fans are about their players.
Doc, with you?
I know with me, I was very lucky, very blessed to play with both New York teams and win with both New York teams. And both fans were very supportive for me, even off the field. When I had my problems, they was always there, very supportive. And like what you say, they had passion for the game. And as long as they knew you was giving 100%, they would support you and be behind you. And I think if you understand that if they did boo you, they was more in the performance, not necessarily you, the individual. And if you could separate the two, you have no problems. And the main thing, as long as they knew you were giving 100%, they'll always be there to support you. But they definitely know their sports and they love their sports.
You guys talked a little bit about this before, but especially Wade, talk about your guys' relationship with George Steinbrenner and the Steinbrenner family. Like you just said, Doc, the fans wanted to win, and that came right down from the owner. How was your relationship with George Steinbrenner, and what do you think he meant to the Yankees?
Well, as far as I was concerned, my relationship with Mr. Steinbrenner was phenomenal. He believed in me. And like I said, at the time that I had signed my contract, he was on the suspension list. But he was when Alan Nero, my agent, and Joe Malloy met at Mr. Steinbrenner's hotel. He was probably in the next table. I just wanted. He was behind a newspaper, but I can't thank him enough. And he's the type of owner that every player wants to play for, because if you're one or two players shy of September, and you know he's going to go out and get that player to help put you over the hump to get to the playoffs. And Mr. Steinbrenner from day one, he wants to win, and that was the biggest thing that stood out for me, and I can't thank the Steinbrenner family enough.
Doc, same for you. I know you were close with Mr. Steinbrenner. Yeah, George was awesome, man. He gave me an opportunity to continue my career in New York, after the '95 season, and just a great relationship. And he was tough, but he had, at the end of the day, he was in your corner. And one story I remember about George was when I retired, I got to work for him for 6 years. I spent a lot of time with him. And I remember my dad was sick, and he actually went to visit my dad before I retired. He went to visit my dad at the hospital. This guy, Raina Groen, who works for the Yankees, told him my dad was sick. This was right before he passed. And George was coming to Tampa for a meeting. He didn't go to the meeting. He went straight to the hospital, St. Joe's Hospital, spent about 2 hours with my dad. And they came back out. That's the type of guy he was. I've seen him do so much stuff with random people in Florida and New York, and he didn't want any media to know, nobody to know what he was doing. Just did a lot of stuff with his heart. And I first met George in 1978 when my nephew, Gary Sheffield, his team won the Little League World Series, and he flew him up to Yankee Stadium, to introduce him before the game. And back then he told me I was going to play for him one day, but you never know what's going to happen. So I got to know him a little bit then, and he's always been great. And that's the way I say it. I can't thank Mr. Steinbrenner and his family enough for not just what they did for me, but what they've done for my family as well.
Maxie has a question. Maxie has a question for you, Wade. There's a lot of emphasis today on bat speed and on analytics and things like that, and things that can be measured that maybe couldn't be measured in 1984. What do you think of all of that, and how do you think that would have measured up for you?
Well, I'm not a big sabermetrics guy. That's the big thing that goes on now. But the puzzling stat that I've always talked about is WAR. So if this guy has a higher WAR than say the guy on the bench, naturally, if the guy on the bench had a higher WAR, he'd be playing. So that's the one thing that sort of stands out. But But as far as I was concerned, I was Billy Ball before Billy Ball, with the getting on base and the high on base average. And I mean, that was basically my role as a leadoff hitter, was to get on base and score runs. And now that they're saying that average doesn't really count for much. And the last thing that I understood was the team that scores the most runs is the team that wins. So that was the thing. If you don't have a high batting average and you're not getting on base, you're not scoring any runs, and you just can't wait for the long ball. And these are the things that you've got to have your table setters, and those are your first couple hitters, and then you've got the guys that clean everything up. Those are your 3, 4, 5 guys, and in order to win, you've got to have a well-balanced lineup. And you see so many teams nowadays that 1 through 9, these guys strike out like crazy. And I've never seen that. I think one stat was that there were more strikeouts in 1 month than hits, and that's sort of going in the wrong direction as far as I'm concerned. But I think that the big thing that they're trying to do with all of that is to put a little bit more interest into the game, and maybe as far as the kids are concerned, the different types of sabermetrics and things of that nature. But you can't reinvent the wheel. That's the thing. It's such a great game, and you try to add different nuances to it, but it's still a game of round ball, round bat, and 60 feet 6 inches. It's that guy against you, and may the best player win. And that's the thing that gets you back to baseball, is that you got to love that part of the game.
Well, as if 3,010 hits and all your accomplishments didn't already say it, all of those advanced numbers all show how great a player you were. Your fielding numbers and your hitting numbers are off the charts for all those years, as you know. Doc, question for you from Evan. He wants to know how the steroid era affected you as a pitcher. You pitched before the steroid era and then right through it, almost right till, when it kind of got exposed. How did that affect you as a pitcher, facing batters that maybe look differently in 1998 than they did in 1988?
Well, it was a little different, but, as a pitcher, you just kind of go at your strength until the hitter makes you make the adjustment, where he shows you that he can handle that pitch now, do something differently. Unfortunately, with the steroid area, I wasn't the pitcher I was in the 80s, so I was more of a complete pitcher where I had to study more fast speed, go more location, change speeds more. Only thing was where, sort of like what Wade just talked about, normally leadoff hitters are guys who set the table, make steal a base, move guys over, whatever. But now you got a guy like Brady Anderson that one year hit 50 home runs. So right out the gate, when you're trying to establish your stuff to see what you have that day, you got to make pitches right out the gate. I mean, you got to be ready to locate and make pitches, because if not, you could be down 1-0. So the big adjustment was where in the early 80s, before the steroids, you kind of just see what you got, kind of getting your stuff going, get your fastball established. But later on in the steroid area, you had to make pitches right out of the gate. You couldn't just try to see what you had. You had to rely more on location.
And, someone who helped you, we have a question from Michael Serra, someone who helped you, Doc, through both early and later in your career, was Mel Stottlemyre as your pitching coach, both with the Mets and with the Yankees. First, Doc, tell me about your work with Mel, and then Wade, I know you had some contact with him as well. Doc?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Mel was awesome, man. I was very fortunate to have Mel at the beginning of my career and at the end. The thing about Mel was at the beginning of my career, when I was having a lot of success, he would challenge me between starts to make sure I didn't get complacent of just, being happy where I was. He always find things for me to work on and get better. I always had problems holding runs on base, so we tried to do different things out of the stretch to get better. And he always told me, if you're not mentally tired as physically tired at the game, you didn't do your job. At first, I didn't know what that meant, but what he was getting at is being mentally tired. I mean, I'm totally focused on every pitch. A lot of times, pitchers back off was the 7th, 8th, and 9th batter, especially in the National League. But you want to pitch everybody the same. You want to have a purpose behind every pitch. And I got that. And it helped me towards the end of my career when I came to the Yankees, of being mentally tired, because you're totally focused on every single pitch. Not necessarily making a perfect pitch, but trying to make a quality pitch at the pitch.
And Wade, I know obviously you were a hitter, but Mel was the pitching coach during that time with the Yankees. How was your interaction with him?
Well, I love Mel. He was when you play 18 years in the big leagues and you have so many coaches that come and go, but Mel was just, I mean, the way his interacting with the pitchers and one big thing is when I got to pitch in '97 against the Angels, Mel we were on a long road trip and we're just getting destroyed, and we needed to save the bullpen because we were on a long road trip and I'm not playing that day, and Mel and Joe are talking about what do you think? We need to save the bullpen. And I said, I'll go in. I'll throw my knuckleball. I would love to do this. So I ran down to the bullpen in Anaheim Stadium and start warming up and came into the game. And I'll never forget that after my pitching performance and got in the dugout, that Mel came up to me and said, well, it's a good thing you didn't give up any runs because our bullpen is the best in baseball right now. And so that was one of the big things. It was a lighthearted moment, but it sort of got us over the hump.
And Wade, you worried about the stats.
I remember that. You had a nasty knuckleball. I remember that.
Quick reminder for fans, we have about 15 minutes left for you to be able to get those live video chats we'll be doing at the top of the hour with Doc and Wade. You can get either or both of them. Autographs and recorded videos, we'll sell those up until the midnight tonight. You can get those, but those video chats you'll want to do right away if you want to get these guys. We still have those available. I have a question from Anthony from the internet. Anthony asks each of you what your favorite baseball card of yourself is. Are you guys into collecting cards? And which one is your favorite?
I know for me,
I've got one that is got the American flag on it. It was from the All-Star game in Texas, and that's sort of one of my favorite cards. It's an action shot, but it's got the American flag on it, and it's done really well. And also there's a card out there with George Brett and myself on it that I enjoy because he was one of my idols when I was playing and a good close friend.
Doc, which ones do you love?
For me, I like my Topps rookie because my rookie card, first one I had, and I always wanted to be a hitter. In my mind, I always wanted to be a hitter. Obviously, I'm pitching with my ticket. But I got one card of me swinging the bat. That's my favorite because I get to brag and show other pitchers that I do have a baseball card of me swinging a bat. So that's probably my favorite.
I don't know, Doc, if you've seen, Topps is taking your 85 card and they have 20 artists drawing different versions of it. I don't know if you've seen that. These are like pop artists, and we'll make sure that we get them to send you some of those. They look terrific.
That's pretty cool. I love that because now I get to share stuff with my grandkids and, they didn't get to see me play. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, we'll make sure that they get those to you. Marcia has a question. Doc, and I've been wondering about this too. Your T-shirt there, the Good Doctor. Can we see what that is? And can people get that? What is that?
Yeah, it's a thing my son, Dwight Jr. started a couple years ago. It's goodenbrand.com, and they can order some stuff. It's just fun stuff, and he designs all this stuff and comes up with it. It's just stuff that we do. We give some money to charity, and my son has it. It's a line he started, but you can go to goodenbrand.com and get stuff. It's got all team colors, just fun stuff, and you come up with different logos on it. And he designed it, and I was okay with it. It's just fun stuff.
No Chicken Man shirt today, Wade?
No Chicken Man shirt.
I think, Wade, I think that people remember, obviously, some of your on field with the Yankees, but I think the lasting memory for fans is after the 96 World Series is over, you hop on a horse, an NYPD horse, and you're bouncing around Yankee Stadium with the celebration. Talk about what motivated you to do that, and just tell us all the story about the horse.
Well, till this day, I've never gone back and looked at the video on how I actually got up on that police horse. And if anybody's ever been around a police horse, they are large animals. They really are. But once we had the dog pile on the mound and everybody's just going absolutely bonkers. And the neat thing about that night is none of the fans, they didn't storm the field, and everybody just stood up and they were applauding. And so we as players decided, hey, let's take a victory lap and sort of wave to everybody. And the next thing I know, I'm down the left field line on a horse. And I'm deathly afraid of horses. I was bit when I was 5 years old by a horse. And so till this day, like I said, I've never gone back, looked at the video to really figure out how I got up on this police horse. And next thing I know, I'm riding around Yankee Stadium on the back of a horse. And it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, because I've made a lot of money with that picture. So that was, and it's one of those capturing the moment kind of thing. When people look at it, they know it's 96. So it was a unique moment at the time. It really was.
And I know we're talking a lot of 96 Yankees, and we got Yankee Stadium back here, but Doc, let's be honest, that 86 celebration on the field at Shea Stadium was very different than what Wade just described. Tell me about 86 and the celebration on the field after that game.
Yeah, it was a little different. It had been a while since the Mets had won, 69 before that, and 73 made the playoff, but that was pretty well. And it was scary at the same time because all the fans stormed the field. And you're celebrating the team, they see all these people on the field and you're trying to get off. And I remember, I saw the photo, I don't actually remember when it happened, but I think it was me, Ojeda, Rick Aguilar, and Lenny Dykstra. We went all back to the pitcher mound to take a picture, and we had bottles of champagne and all that stuff celebrating. But it was a great moment to do it at home in New York and have all the fans storm the field. It was scary when the fans stormed the field, but it was a lot of fun, a lot of great memories.
We don't have to talk about who the opponent was in that particular World Series, but
I appreciate that, Jerry.
You two guys faced each other in the All-Star game, and then very late in both of your careers when Wade, when you were with Tampa, and Doc, when you were with Cleveland. Do you remember your at-bats?
Those 2 for 6 off of Doc.
I remember the one game, Wade, I don't know if you remember, in Cincinnati in 88, Rick Dempsey was telling me, I said, how do you face Boggs? You can't strike him out. I mean, he's a great contact hitter, and he has power. I've seen that. So, you say, throw him slow curveballs. And I remember throwing a slow curveball, and you hit a bullet. I'm like, so much for that theory.
Look, I know. Yeah, that was the first time that I'd faced, well, in 86 in the World Series, in Game 2 and Game 5. So, other than that, it was just possibly 2 at-bats in All-Star games.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know where these guys' standings were in baseball at that time, those All-Star games, Doc, you started. Wade, you hit third for the American League. So where's the best hitter hit? They hit third. Where's the best pitcher? They start. So that shows what baseball was like in the 80s. These are the 2 guys that are off the top of the list. Richard Johnson has a question for both of you guys. Were there players that you modeled your own style after? You guys were unique in your own way, but was there someone that kind of you looked at and goes, that's how I'm going to kind of model myself?
Mine was fairly simple. It was Pete Rose. He exemplified how to play the game. Charlie Hustle. I mean, that was his nickname. And whenever Pete was on TV, I was just glued to the TV. And I said, wow, if I ever make it to the big leagues, that's the type of player that I want to be. And coaching high school baseball here in Tampa is the only thing that I require is for the kids to hustle. I mean, it takes very, very little ability to go out and give 100% and hustle, running on the field, running off the field. If you pop up a ball to the infield, run it out. And so Pete was probably my go-to guy. Pete and naturally Reggie. I always tell Reggie that every time I see him that he was one of my go-to guys also.
Doc, how about you?
It's funny because growing up in Tampa's way, Cincinnati Reds had spring training in Tampa in the 60s and 70s, and Pete Rose was actually the first guy I got his autograph as a professional player. So, but my guy was Nolan Ryan. Through Little League, he was just like Milo. He could strike out guys. I was doing the same in Little League. He had the high leg kick. I just tried to emulate that with the high leg kick as well. And I got the opportunity to meet Nolan the first time in '84 at the All-Star game. And I couldn't believe it. It was like a kid out of a candy store. I couldn't wait to get home to tell my friends who I talked to and got to meet. And Nolan was the guy. And also, people don't know, Wade actually is a great coach. He coached my son in high school down in Tampa as well. So I appreciate that. Done a great job with him. So I appreciate that as well.
That's great. We just have a few minutes left, and wanted again to just remind everyone those live video chats, they start at the top of the hour, so you'll want to do that right away. The autographs and recorded videos come up later. WizardWorldVirtual.com is a place to check out anything that you might be able to purchase on there, and we'll be able to do that. We have a last couple of minutes here. Just want to again thank you guys for being part of this today. I know that the chats have been overflowing with questions. We're sorry we couldn't get to everyone. We've got one last one here from David Cohen, and David asks, not David Cohen, David Cohen wants to know what your favorite memorable baseball road story is. Well, you guys travel, all those games every year and 3-game series in different places. What's your favorite, most memorable road trip story?
I think for me, when I was with the Yankees, first joined the Yankees, wait, I don't know if you remember this guy, I think it was in Minnesota, but we had curfew. But the way Mr. Steinbrenner found out was he had this guy who had been in the lobby and actually signed his ball. And you signed the ball, and obviously the curfew was 12 or 1 o'clock. You signed the ball after 12 or 1 o'clock. And the next day, Steinbrenner would get the ball. He sees your name on the ball. He knows you're out past curfew. And I obviously got busted doing that. And I didn't know to the day how that happened until George, one day when I retired, he told me how he would know. He would have the guy sign the baseball.
Wade, what's one of your favorites?
I was trying to think of one that jumps out. Probably that road trip that I was talking about. That we were just awful, and that was one of those road trips to where we couldn't do anything right. We couldn't hit, we couldn't pitch, we couldn't field, and everything was just miserable. And it was sort of a tale of two seasons. That long road trip. If you were to take that out of the '96 season, it would have been a phenomenal season. But it was one of those road trips where, we told Joe at one time hey, why don't you just stick some names in the hat and pull them out of the hat, and let's just try to shake something up. And we all threw all of our bats into the shower and turned the showers on, and just something, just trying to shake it up. But that was probably one of those road trips that you want to forget about.
Well, what you guys meant to Yankees fans and Mets fans, Red Sox fans also, something that no one will ever forget. So Wizard World Virtual Experience also won't ever forget what you did for us today too. So we appreciate you guys being with us. Doc Gooden, Dr. K, Wade Boggs, Chicken Man. Guys, thank you so much for being with us today. And don't forget, fans, last chance to get those live video chats, autographs, and recorded videos. Those will be coming up soon. But once again, thanks for joining us, Doc Gooden and Wade Boggs, and appreciate you being with us on today's
Jerry.
Virtual Experience. Thanks,
Good
guys.
seeing you, Doc.
You too, buddy. Love you.
All right. Love you too, man.
All right.
Just reminding everyone out there as Doc and Wade get ready for their chats. You can still purchase up until the top of the hour those live video chats. They're really fun. We moderate those. We'll bring people in, bring you out, and it'll be a really good time. You get a chance to meet those heroes. If they're baseball heroes, if you're a baseball fan of, you say a certain age, but really of any age, the way Doc Gooden electrified New York in the mid-1980s, whether you're a Yankees fan or a Mets fan, you can't doubt what he meant to baseball. And when those two teams were both good at the same time in the mid-1980s, it was just an unbelievable experience. And, he was a few miles up the road, but Wade Boggs was also electrifying baseball and steady. And he hit his way to 3,010 hits, and then, got to come to the Yankees and win his world championship. So it was great having an opportunity for us to meet with those two guys. And again, the last chance for the live video chats today. Don't forget, we have a lot more of these Wizard World virtual experiences coming up in the next few weeks. Wizard World virtual experiences. Wizard World Virtual is the place to go. WizardWorldVirtual.com to learn about all of that. So once again, thanks so much for being with us today. If you did purchase one of those live video chats, you should go to that other room right now. We'll be with you in just a little bit. Once again, thanks so much for being with us today on Wizard World Virtual Experiences.